Greetings folks, Flying Doctor here, hope you're doing okay. Now, there is much celebration in the Hype Performance Group camp as they have issues. The H145 update to 2.0. Yes, beyond the 1, onto the 2 now. A 6-month development process. They're very excited. I'm really encouraged indeed. And there is a slight increase now to the price of the H145 base pack. But the action pack has remained the same. Base pack's around $50. But in my view, and I don't have any direct association, I don't get any financial benefit from my commentary on H145 products, but in my view, it's an excellent spend if you've got that kind of money. Now let's just go and have a look. We're going to work through the major features, the major updates, but in short, what is there not to like? The flight model is improved. It's kind of, well, it's challenging, but also there's safeguards in place to make it a little bit easier for you. There's features on this aircraft that you won't find on any other helicopter, including the release of something called trim release, which is required, and so that's probably the thing that sets it apart from other helicopters available in SIN as far as I know right now. Huge ability to customize the control settings. When I opened this up, and I must admit it's been about a month since I've got in the helicopter, I noticed immediately that the aircraft sounds have improved. I also noticed I was getting warnings that my terrain was low, and I was coming out of flying, well actually it was Phoenix's A320, and when you come in for landings in a jumbo, of course you get that warning terrain low, and suddenly this helicopter starts talking to me, telling me that in other places where I've flown before, I need to do something else, something different. So I could see slight changes, but other than that, I'm quite encouraged by some updates to some bugs and some gremlins that were there. There have been improvements to the mission app in particular. And yeah, let's take a look at it. The one thing I can't do is listen to the Hype radio, because of course if I do that, then YouTube will pick up on the music and I'll get tagged for copyright, and I don't really want that. However, I could sing to you, but as somebody who was listening, watching out earlier said, Flying Doctor, I think it highly unlikely that anyone could mistake your singing for music. Anyway, well, thanks to whoever said that, but let's geek into it. It's great to have you with us. I'll see you the other side of our welcome. Okay, right. We're going to just have a look at the Discord page, and I thought just to encourage you, if you haven't signed up to Discord and you've got the H145, then please do, because it is it's a really good community space, and if you've got any problems or issues, you just pop something into the Discord and you'll get a response back. I have to say, like most places, if it's in the manual, you'll get a reminder. It is in the manual. You might get a page number, but it is a place to go if you're having particular difficulties as well. But it's a really good place to go to see how people are improving or suggesting improvements to the simulator. But also, if you are interested in any apps that will work with the simulator, any add-ons, particularly on the mission side, then you'll find them there, and it's the quickest place really to find out what's going on. So do join the Discord. So yeah, let's just have a look at this top one here. Native Asobo CFD flight model. Realistic with the AFCS both off and on. Well, what the heck's that mean? Well, CFD, and the phrase CFD and flight model, CFD stands for computational fluid dynamics, which sounds rather odd really, because the last time I looked, well, if you're wearing floats, you might land a helicopter on water, but generally water and aircraft don't tend to mix unless they're kind of, flying aircraft. You know what I mean. But the idea is that CFD is about modelling and understanding. Think wind tunnels, think cars, for example. Modelling and understanding the dynamics around the aircraft. If I took a sort of arcade view, by the way, there's no such thing as the arcade view there was before the arcade mode for the H145 in the tablet to make it similar. But an arcade sort of view would be that we've got the rotor blades here and here, but the main rotor blades there, of course, this one providing stability. And a simplistic view would be, there we are, that we've got a force up and down that's in ratio with the power that we're giving the blades there. And yes, forward and back, depending on the angle of the blades, as the sort of cyclic moves that. But of course, things are a bit more complicated than that, because what's actually happening is that the forces from the blades are having an impact on the control surfaces as well, and that also changes with the angle of attack. Okay, so you know how the aircraft responds in one particular position at one particular altitude will be different from another, and that's an incredibly complex sort of set of calculations to make, but the aim is to produce something that is a fair reflection, an accurate reflection on what and how the real aircraft would respond to the input. So yes, really significant, but also if you kind of you know, we all want to be able to fly an aircraft and jump in, but the changes that have been made to the AFCS, and the AFCS is the automated flight control system, so the autopilot, the changes that are made are now much more realistic, whether you're flying with the autopilot or not. And I say that might sound a bit strange, but if you've flown with the autopilot in the H145, you'll be aware that you can apply these different modes. Here they are at the top here, but you may well still have to, depending on the mode that you're flying, say if you are flying a heading mode, you'll still find that you need to make adjustments to the aircraft to bring you more stability. And it's that combination of the autopilot modes, but the additional input that you have to put in to keep the aircraft stable, that is where the refinement lies. One other feature that is worth noticing that makes the H145 different from other aircraft is the need to use the automatic trim release when you are in FCS mode. So in other words, if you want to take the cyclic and operate the cyclic stick, then you need to press A trim. That is not accurately modelled in other H145 as far as I know to this moment. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, pop it in the comment sections so everyone else can know as soon as possible. But the reason for doing this is that the unless you would do that in real life, the auto trim would be fighting everything that you would be doing, and that's what you obviously want to stop. You're wanting to take control, but trim release is suggested for everybody now, and especially important when you're dealing with sloped landings, or you're landing on a surface that is moving, for example, an aircraft carrier. So good to see that degree of realism entering into the aircraft. We've seen some changes implemented that are now formalised and refined. Notice I've talked about this before, the stability level, which is really which is there on all three axes, and has really been a great addition because it makes the aircraft flyable if you don't know how to fly it, basically. And so I'd suggested before I moved my stability level up to 30. I had noticed the difference when I tried to take off here. So I tend to put my stability levels up to 30. It just makes life that little bit easier. So you've got this blend of having an authentically modelled aircraft, but also being able to jump in it straight away, and for it to be quite forgiving of your failures, and then you can title things up later. Another setting here worth looking at and reviewing is follow-up trim. So yes, ideally the way forward would be that you would press the trim cancellation, but you can still have it set to hover, cruise, or both, which means that when you take hold of the cyclic and the autopilot recognises that you're wanting to take control, it gives you automatically a period in order to do that before it starts to cut in. And that is called follow-up trim. So you make the change and then you expect the follow-up to happen later, unless you've got it to off. unless you're coming to a hover, unless you're cruising, or you can have hover and cruise both at the same time. So when the sim detects that you're hovering or at cruise, it will then cancel out the follow-up trim. But that's just for a period of a few seconds. Incidentally, it might be helpful to know that if you go to the Discord channel, you'll find a link to the beyond the manual. There is this walkthrough that Hype have worked on, and you can get to the HPG documentation. And I'm kind of communicating much of this from what's been displayed here, yeah, really helpful stuff here around sort of the changes. So you may well find it useful to have a look at that as you're wandering through these changes yourself. Hype do refer to the manual, but you've got an easy to access sort of presentation here. Controls and bindings, for example. There's the stuff on beep trim and other important bindings there, just to speed you along, and then the whole custom bindings. And then there's this important notice about the trim release that's all the way up here. If you fail to use the trim release now, you will flight the auto flight systems, but because you can model a trim release button very easily. Let's just take a look at those changes to the Hype operations center. I've highlighted how this has grown before during my tutorials, but most important thing here is key bindings, view and modify, and you get a huge great list of the actions that you can bind potentially to any key press, and therefore any joystick control that you have or binding that is free and available. So yeah, that's this is a whole area of the sim that has been worked on and updated. Great to see. One of the improvements to this that I'm seeing that wasn't there before was that you've got the possible commands, and I noticed this, for example, my cyclic beak trim right. In other words, my right hand button on my cyclic that I might want to program to shimmy along to the right, for example, if I'm in hover mode. Well, it tells me that if I want to model that in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I can use increased propeller 3 pitch. However, what I've got now very helpfully is a red warning under these to say you're already using that for something else in Microsoft Flight Simulator, don't use it. So it's duplicate. So it's recognizing, because usually that wouldn't be populated in Microsoft Flight Simulator in the control section, but this red warning here, really helpful. I've had one or two occasions where I've had the same binding two bindings to a single key, which might work. For example, if you're looking in camera mode and external and say drone mode, you can have two different commands mapped to the same button, and one won't override, one won't conflict with the other. So there is times when you can have a duplicate binding there, but this is telling me that this is already populated here. Don't even think about using that or change what's already there. But what I'm able to do is you can have the custom key bindings, and presumably I will be able to put cyclic beep trim left in under another. I probably programmed it here anyway, so it'll be difficult to show. Let's just have a look. Let's have a look at cyclic beep. Let's see if I can do this one. Cyclic beep trim left. I wonder if we'll be lucky. Cyclic beep trim reset 0. Snow collective. Cockpit. I bet I've zoomed past it and you can all see it, can't you? Let's go back and just see. It probably doesn't appear here. This will be another improvement. Cyclic beep trim left. Let's try that. And there you are. I've got an option there of a different binding. Okay. So there we go. But we won't go through that. That's really encouraging. As you work through this, you'll see the significance of that. It improves your workflow when you're configuring all these buttons. Really, that makes it a lot easier. Now, I'm really being a bit sloppy here. I could do this a lot better, but one of the things that has been suggested is that there's an update to the aircraft sounds. And yeah, it does feel slightly different. I haven't been to it, as I say, in about a month, or really listened inside the cockpit. I'll give you a listen now. There are some little sounds that I'm hearing. Firstly, I'm hearing the kind of, it almost feels like the rush of a kind of air conditioning system very, very loudly. But I can also hear a kind of beep or electrical sound that I wasn't hearing before in the inside. I'm not seeing any change in sounds left to right, or if I move towards the back of the aircraft. There's not much variation there, but I am seeing some improvement. So I'll let you just have a listen. You can decide for yourself. Okay, yeah, it is quite subtle, but I can definitely hear some changes, and changes in the main always good as far as I'm concerned. I'm just going to turn it down here because the sound will be coming also through my microphone. There we are. So yeah, some changes there. Now another one of my things that I picked up on the Operations Center scenario editor was that I've got Aerosoft North Sea landmarks installed, and they include helipads on gas and presumably oil platforms, and I couldn't find where they were. Now there has been some improvement here. It may well be that I've just not sort of tried this before, but I did try quite a few convoluted ways of trying to find the helipads. But as you can see here, we've got some helipads in the sea, which is progress. That could be a... But what's being said is that the points of interest databases, hospitals, helipads, world update points of interest, are updated within the mission app itself, within the helicopter, and presumably within the Hype Operations Center scenario editor as well. Now, what we need this for is to be able to obviously land the H145 at a helipad somewhere. What's missing is that when we zoom in, I suspect, but when we zoom in, we can't actually see the location of where we're flying to. But this is an improvement as far as I can see it. Just have a jump back and look at my most previous tutorials on kind of on the mission side, and you'll see how I've gone about trying to use the tools to find, for example, the nearest helipads that it can. So nearby helipads except hospital. There we are. It doesn't have sort of gas installation, sea helipads or whatever, but it's a step forward anyway. We'll have a look a bit more once we go into the mission app itself in the helicopter. So let's have a look. I'm starting this cold with you. So I'm going to go back here, go to maps and missions, click on mission library here, and we've got our familiar tabs as this has been worked on and tidied up. So HPG, there's the multiplayer option, which I've not really played with. There's the missions Aerosoft North Sea. Let's have a look here. Medical evacuation platform. Let's just try this, see what happens. And saying setting up the mission. I can select a distance to a site. I think this was working before. The main issue was on the scenario editor page. But let's say 10 to 25 kilometers. So data query return no results. That's okay. I shouldn't be surprised at that. What we're going to do instead, let's just have a look. Can we go back? Abort mission. We'll try abort mission, start again. North Sea, medical evacuation platform. There we go. Let's widen it out, 10 to 70. So we've got no results here. So this isn't quite working for me at the moment. Making me even think, have I got my Aerosoft installed? I'm pretty sure that I have. I will double. No, I have, I'm sure. So I wonder what's going on there. Let's abort that then, North Sea. So we've not had any platform. That was the maximum, wasn't it, that I could go to? Let's have a look again. So 10 to 70 kilometers. Right, so that's not quite working. I wonder if we can click on it on the map. Let's have a look. It could be that it's just not appearing on the map. It's just not appearing within the mission database. Let's just abort that, shall we? Abort the mission. Let's see if we can find something. Okay, up. I wonder if there's any other way of doing it. No, I don't think so. Can we cross that? Well, let's try this. Another way in. So we've got some helipads clearly marked here. There they are in blue, which we had before. They seem a bit clearer. I'm not having to zoom in as much as I did before. But as for helipads appearing, oh, we're in Gibraltar. That might be it. Sorry, I'm just being a bit of an idiot here. Let me just go and move my aircraft. I can't believe that. Well, here you go. I've not actually moved the aircraft, as you can see here, but I'm really interested in this. So I've just jumped back and managed to navigate myself halfway across the world back up to just beyond the Channel and into the North Sea. And you can see from the map here that already this is massively populated, more populated than it was before, with that looks to be airfields in blue and in light blue. Darker blue, the heliports in for hospitals are very clear. Separate helipads here are very clear in as black squares, so that is excellent. I wasn't getting anything like that clarity before. Massive improvement there. And you can see also here really clearly I've got these yellow kind of icon-y things. There we are. And they are clearly they look like all platform installations. If I click on one of them there you go. I've got the name of it, I've got the place there, available missions. I could do a medical evacuation. It's a wind farm substation. Okay, so it's appearing to be like maybe it's just because it looks to me like an oil or gas platform, but it's actually telling me it's a wind farm substation. So let's just go and have a look and see what we get here. These look like ships. Yeah, I'm correct. So we've got ships appearing now. Sea Pike as a ship, and we can open the map on the PC. And I can tell you straight away, this is going to change the game completely. From where we were before. So this is a massive, significant change. I can even see I've got a helipad in the sea. And I wonder whether that is a... let's have a look here. We can pull that up and we can see the location. What is it? It is in fact a wind farm, but it's clearly a helicopter landing pad that's been constructed there for service purposes. So yeah, this is looking really good. And you notice the open map on PC, I've just done that, and I can jump up for you and just show you that, and just bear with me. So here we go, there it is up here. So if I click on any icon there, we'll try that, open the map on the PC, and it's a different one for us. There we go, and we've got North Sea. Not telling us very much at all, but there's enough to get a location. Photos there. I'm not sure how clear that photo is. Let's take a picture. Is that a generic picture of the North Sea? There we are. Congratulations, well done. But it's something, and it's making really good progress. If I just move back to the main screen for us now. There we go. So big changes there, and my feeling would be that if I managed to relocate here, I could plan a mission. So let's just have a look and see what happens there. Just bear with me and I'll be back with you in 1 second. So the first slightly amusing thing is that yes, I can fly there to destination hospital and set up a mission. It's quite a long flight though, not sure I'll be trying to do that. Here's something else that's interesting, just looking down the coast towards Bruges. If I zoom in towards Bruges and click on a blue hospital thing, and remember I did have to zoom in really close before, sometimes it would recognize that. So if I click on that, it's telling me that there's a heliport there. I can open the map on the PC, so let's just do that and see what we get to. And my overhead map here, this may not work, but we'll have a look at the overhead map and just see where we are at. There we go. So that's where we're at. That's exactly where we clicked on. Let's look at the satellite and see what we've got. And there we are. We've landed. There we are. We've clicked right on. Isn't that great? right on a helipad there. Now what should be happening is, because this is appearing in the missions app, I'm presuming that I can go now back to Microsoft Flight Simulator and see if we can begin our flight there. So I just need to remember this name. Let's have a go at that and see if that works, because this is all about the workability of how the missions operate. So I'm just escaping out of that. Let's go into the main menu, continue, back into my world map. There we go. Let's see if we can find this then. So I happen to know, because it's original, is A, Z, S, T, S, I, N, T. I don't think we can find. I don't think we're going to find it. Where's that? SINT. Halfway across the world. Right, we don't want that. That's okay. We're all right. We've not lost all hope here. Let's just go back, and we can probably put the. We could put the directions. So we could put the coordinates in. Let's Control and V those. And it'll put me right above that probably. There we go. So it's found the location. Where have you gone? Select departure. I think that'd be custom, yeah. Okay, set as departure. What's it going to do here? Is it going to sit us in the air? Yeah, airborne. We don't want to be airborne. But I guess we could try it like this, and then just see if we can get onto hover and land. Sorry, this is beyond the Call of Duty, I know, but just bear with us. How brave am I feeling? Let's just have a look and see what we can do here. Ideally, what should have happened is that we should have had the helicopter actually on the ground, but it's because the flight simulator was the helipad's recognised in the simulator. The scenery's not there to note it as a helipad within the sim. If we're ready to fly, I can't change anything at the moment. The first thing I'm going to do is get stable. Let's have a look. And it's also managed to come along without any controls. It might be nice to have some power. There we are. Let's just see what we can do here. Oh dear, this isn't the way it's supposed to go. Let's hover there. Okay. And okay, so largely unsuccessful here. We're just going to turn around. We've actually got power there now, and just see where we might be. Let's just have a look. Okay, I've stabilised the aircraft, and I've not. Well, I have an idea where I am, and I'll show you how I got there. This might be of interest to you. So I know that I'm headed in direct bearing 196. So if I go up to the map, I can just relatively see where that might be. Let's just have a look here. If we go to the upper map, so my bearing is 196. So there's 180 would be straight down like that. Obviously, 196 is somewhere along this track here. Okay. Now there's two things taking me ages to spot this. There's two things. There's a feature here. There's an athletics track here. There's also a really interesting, if I zoom in here, set of fields, Bruges Lacrosse there, and there's a school. Now, I am using photogrammetry here, but I'm not really convinced. But I have actually managed to see these two things, which means that I think I can see this structure of buildings around the hospital here towards as I look out of the aircraft. So I think I am somewhere pointing in this direction, and I can see that the hospital ends and it's green fields around there. So I think I've located the hospital. I'll jump into the main sim, just as I wasn't expected to do this, just so if you might be interested. So back we go into the main screen. There we are. Okay, so yeah, where I was talking about is that you can see just up here, it was clearer in night actually, you can see that there is clearly a oval road just there. Okay, it was even clearer further. We can see the sea behind us. but also this is the giveaway here that has been mapped properly. You can just look down here and you see this complex of fields, really markedly green fields. A lot of other stuff wrong here looking at the sim, but if I then think where I am in relation to my track, I can see just here, interestingly, this I couldn't see where this church was. It should be right below us, but it doesn't really matter. But I think along this road here, and you can see this complex here, and I think this is where the helipad is. So let's just go and see if we can find the thing anyway. Probably hugely distracted. There we are. Let's just dip forward and see what we can find. Rather be inside the sim, to be honest. Let's just have a look. What we should find is there's a helipad down here. Whoa, has he hit gold here? Is this a demonstration? If it's going to come through. Let's just freeze things here roughly, shall we? Have a look outside the aircraft. There we go. Just wait for things to. Let's just stabilise there. Let's hold the altitude there. There we are. Let's have a look outside the sim. Do we have a helipad? No, not there. Bear with me though. Oh yeah, I can see it. If you just look over here, just in this corner up here, sorry, I've probably gone in too close. There we are, that little cross there. It's gone by the cloud. Go away. There we are. That's just there. And we'll have a look at see it landing it there, and we'll just see what we can do from there, shall we? Just to test out the missions. Just bear with me. There we go. We have arrived. It's a bit of a tight squeeze. What, you thought I was going to show you landing that from cold when I've been focusing on everything else? No way. Not quite sure why this hospital's got elements of a fashion shop in the back, but I'll just run with that, whatever. So we've managed to land the helicopter. So it's possible, therefore, to find the landing pad from where you begin the mission. Yeah, okay, you've got to know what you're doing in order to do that. But let's just have a look inside and see what the options are for us now. So we go, let's just zoom right in. And yeah, not sorted my things. And maps and missions. Let's click on that. Click here. Let's see if we can get to North Sea. Let's see if we find a platform. There we go. It should come up. Cross that out. Let's try 10 to 70. No results either. But it's saying setting up the mission. So apparently there's nothing, despite all of this other stuff, there's nothing there within 70. Well, that's not true because look, all of that lot. I wonder whether we could fly from here. So it's not finding a kind of mission for us. So let's try some of the other options. It's still not sorted, but this is all a work in progress. So I bought that one. North Sea, wind farm substation. Let's just try that. See if it can find one. Cross that out. Let's try center. Oh yeah, we've got that there. So there we are. It's found a wind farm for me, in fairness. Okay, all right. So we could accept that dispatch, but let's just go back into the mission. I bought that one. Okay, North Sea. So that was a medical evac. Was that a medical evac? Oh, just do ship. See what happens with that one. Okay, 10 to 70. So that must be the ship then, or is it setting up the mission? Okay. No, there we are. It's found a different ship, hasn't it? So yes, that is working now. But you have to manually get yourself through to the heliport unless you were to start at an airport. So okay. So what we've not got is a synergy between the helipads as shown on the map and what's in Microsoft Flight Simulator. because there we are, you're not necessarily going to get the helipads in hospitals shown. So there's some disparity there, but this is real progress moving forward, have to say. Right. So the conclusion from this was that we could get a medical evacuation on a ship or from wind farm substation, but not, curiously, from a medical evacuation platform. And it spoke of something going wrong on an offshore platform. We've got plenty of those, but I can't quite see how it's not operating 10 to 70 kilometres away. Maybe that's out of range. I don't know. Maybe that could be it. But that is still, 80 kilometres is 50 miles, so 40 miles out, seem roughly. Well, maybe there might be a limitation. It might be worth just testing that somewhere closer. Now, the curious thing is that using my Aerosoft add-ons, that the helipads are clearly indicated within North Sea area, and well, you can see plainly in front of me. So what I'm going to deliberately do is to pick, so just in case the range in that last example was out, I am going to pick something that is ridiculously close. So I'm going to click EHTP, Maskvlakt Air Heliport. Probably got that completely wrong. We're going to depart from here, so that'll be nice and stable for us from the helipad there, and we'll see what comes up in the mission map from there. There we are on our helipad. Let's just get this sorted here. We'll allow ourselves a little bit more light in a second. It's just taking time to fire up there. There we are. Let's just go into the emissions now. Just see if that was the issue, is the range. The range is far longer than that in the H145 though. So there we are. And let's click on mission library now. Aerosoft North Sea, check out medical evacuation platform. Let's cross that out, 10 to 70. We do have a dispatch potentially. Let's have a look. So where's it picked? Yeah, somewhere pretty much out there. So we'll accept the dispatch and just see how far that is. Let's see over here. We should find it on our nav switch across the D map. See, 30 nautical miles away. Okay. So yeah, well, it's 30 nautical miles. Hang on. Kilometre is 5/8 of a mile, so that's going to be times by 5, 150 divided by 8. 50 divided by 8, 20. Okay, right, yeah, that is within range. Okay, of what it was saying before. So we do have a full set of the Aerosoft missions being, the kind of functionality around Aerosoft missions getting sorted. So that is really good news. I'm not going to try it out beyond that. But seems to be some really good progress there. Helpful to do the walkthrough though, because you might have experienced similar problems. The only frustration, of course, is that you can see it's obviously the database for the map here isn't relating to the database for Microsoft Flight Simulator. There are more helipads and things in the map here. So, but it does give you other functionality. At least it shows where you can move the helicopter to, even if you'd have to kind of land there, or sit airborne and and worry about loss of flight control whilst you arrive without anything switched on in the air. Anyway, so moving on, let's just have a further look. I am really intrigued to see what else is in the mission panel itself, whether that has changed. So we'll abort that mission, just have a look round. HEMS missions, well, they're still there and functioning presumably fine. Offshore missions, HEMS oil rig megavac is there under a different thing. Let's have a look at that. Freeware oil rigs on Flight Sim TO not recommended. Okay, as this mission needs to be reworked. Okay, so there we are seeing this aspect of the sim. Yeah, you must have that was on there before. Probably needs clearing off if it's not going to be there at all. So dismiss that. Let's just go back, abort that. See what else we could find. Connect a scenario editor on a PC. We've covered that before. I'm not expecting there to be any problems with that. So yeah, that looks to be like a significant improvement. Still a little way to go, but still a significant improvement, and perhaps even just a case of clarity about what is possible, what isn't possible. So to say, there's more POAs that are available on the tablet, but you won't necessarily find them in the flight simulator. There are other ways around this. You can and needs a bit more functionality from Microsoft Flight Simulator, because you know, whenever you pick a longitude and latitude, you can't put an aircraft you know, on the ground. As far as I can see, it always is airborne. I might be wrong about that. Again, in the comments section, let me know. I'm still getting my head around Microsoft Flight Simulator, but yeah, it is a bit of a pain, isn't it? Okay, let's just move on and cover another couple of points. So we are back to Discord again. We've made comment on all of these top ones, and then we're just moving to forward-looking HTAWS oral and built-in HAT, height above terrain, database at correct increments and colours. HTWAS is Helicopter Terrain Awareness and Warning System. So as I mentioned earlier, just if you're landing, when you're landing a jumbo jet, for example, and you haven't made the necessary adjustments, you'll get a warning about terrain coming, this automated voice, and that happens. It's there on the H145 as well. We can go and have a look at that. So this looks to be quite an interesting addition here. Below flight control replay partner integration. It says watch for future growth in that, by the way. But DMAP and NavD map background and foreground layer section. If you zoom in to the sim in the cockpit as usual, and go to your, well, you could have NavD up here, or you could have DMAP. Okay. Within the DMAP option, I can see straight away there's a layer icon here. If I click on the layer icon, I get this really nicely designed tab comes up of options. And if you unclick the options so that they're not checkered, you remove some of the key, all of the key information. So just if I were to try, I can't zoom in anymore. I can zoom in probably more. There we go. If we're feeling really, there we go. We can be really clear with it. So if I zoom in really close here. Okay, so if I click on airports, I don't see anything there. But if I click on airports primary, these airports appear. Military, other airports, secondary airports there. Microsoft Flight Sim POI, didn't see much there, but you saw that there's two pink things there, two pink markers there. Civilian helipads, hospital helipads, North Sea wind farms, platforms, North Sea ships. So there we are. NavAids doesn't appear to be working at the moment, not on this, or airspaces doesn't work. Airports, I'm curious about what airports are. So maybe a little bit more work on this, but on the whole, this looks really, really good. Again, though, I'm a little bit confused as to what's appearing in Flight Simulator and what's appearing, as in actually in the Microsoft Flight Simulator map itself, and what's appearing here. What's on the sim and what's being derived from the map. So a little bit of work there, maybe. It said something to do with NavD, gave you this option. I've got map here. Oh, okay. I've not seen that before. What are this? Off route, range. Well, that's obvious. Nav, course. Okay, those are the options there. But the map option here, vector, vector dark, topograph, satellite. Oh, that's an interesting option, isn't it? Satellite's good. I like that. Because you can have one on satellite and one without. So I like this idea, but there you go, or nothing. So yeah, really good options there. Impressed with that. Interesting, it says here also mission system features for higher fidelity missions, briefings, object management. I have seen some suggested add-ons from Flight Sim TO that I'm just trying to get working on my system at the moment. So in other words, I think just Hyper saying that there's more functionality within the missions area of the H145, the programming, that gives developers more option. So yeah, mission features for high fidelity mission briefings, object management. Interesting, the map layers, that looks to be a bit more developed than it was before. Nothing for live. Oh, live weather. You can click on live weather there, and I wonder where it's picking that up from, and I wonder how the live weather is shown as well. But okay, so just saying live weather, all right. But we can vector dark, topograph, satellite. Yeah, so there are some more options there. If you've not seen it before, I think those have been slowly developing. But if you've not seen it before, good to know that they are there. Hype radio app to listen to internet radio stations nearby to your sim location.